Hello, welcome to Waypoint Survival. Today, I want to show you how to make some improvised snowshoes from a pair of tennis rackets. Stay tuned. So the first thing that you need to do is go to a secondhand or thrift store and find two good tennis rackets. You could use the wooden ones, but I prefer the either aluminum or magnesium type. Whatever you want to use is fine. But you want to make sure that they are relatively the same size and the same shape. And this is sort of like a bear paw style. This is of course not gonna be for huge deep snow or for a super heavy person and pack. But for a light situation, it's gonna work pretty good. Now, these tails are just a little different. You can see this one's a little longer than that one. It's not a big deal. And they're pretty cheap. You can see I only paid $3.99 for that. So that's a pretty good deal. So two of them, cheap snowshoes. All right, let's get started. You're also going to need an old piece of truck inner tube, a cordless drill of some sort. You're going to need some sort of a marking pen. You can write on rubber. You're also going to want some kind of scissors that can cut rubber easily. You're going to need a hole punch. You're going to need a piece of wood. This is like 1 inch by 3/4, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a minute, how we're going to make that fit. You're going to need some screws, some bits of course. You're going to need some screws like this. These are sheet metal screws that have the little washer on them. And then just some small wood screws, just like this, that will go into here but not go all the way through it. You may also want to get some duct tape in case your snow is deep. I'll show you how that works here in a little bit. Next, you need to measure a piece of wood that will go all the way across about the center. This is where your foot, the ball of your foot, is going to rest. You can't just step on this. It will eventually wear through from the weight of your foot, and you need a pivot point as your foot walks. And so this will carry the weight and distribute it to either side. Now, as you can see, you can also cut this out using a saw. You can whittle that down with a knife. The most important thing is that you get this right about where you want your foot to be. So putting it right here, if this was for my left foot, it's going to be about right here. So again, where the ball of my foot goes, you want this piece of wood right in that area. After you get that figured out so that it sets in there, you want the wood to be deep enough that you've got something left to stand on right here. You want to make that too shallow because again, that's going to be holding the weight of your foot and your body. But you also want to make sure that the wood down here isn't completely setting on the strings because again, that causes extra stress on the racket. Once you get that placed, you're going to want to flip it around where you can see it well. And then right here at the top, in between, you want to take a drill and you want to drill a hole right in here for a first screw. So we have a small hole right here. Next we change bits. And then we take our sheet metal screw and we take this little grommet off of it. Now we want to save this. This is an important piece of our build, so don't forget that. Then we take the sheet metal screw and we put it right here and we screw it in place. Just like that, and we'll do it to the other side as well, making sure that we keep this wood straight across on the tennis racket. Now, for the next part, we take our old inner tube and we cut it down the middle so that it opens up, kind of like this. You can see how that looks across the front. What we do is we put it down like this. So again, we split it open, and I split this one on the inside just using a utility knife. And we put it down like this, just like so. We figure out about how wide we want it, and then we're going to take and we're going to mark with a Sharpie. Take our marking pen and we start to mark it from the outside here on each side, around the front, and then it has to come back to the back as far as you want to go around your foot. So you'll have to put your foot on here, and this takes just a little bit of measuring. Everybody's boots and feet are going to be a little different, so I can't give you exact measurements for your feet. You'll have to kind of figure this out, but I will show you what it looks like after we get it cut out. It's where our handy snips come in, heavy duty scissors. Okay, we're done with this. We'll save this for some other project, and this is what it's going to look like. I apologize for the change in audio, but my wireless mic quit on me. It needs to be recharged. It's cold out here, as you can tell. So what we have is we have something that looks like this. It's rounded in the front, again just part of the inner tube, and comes across like this. And then we need a place here where we can cut out a hole, which is going to be for the ankle and foot to go in. And this will be kind of stretchy, being rubber. As far as these old inner tubes go, you can get these for free. You just go to a place that works on trucks or tractors, and you'll be able to find this pretty easily. All right, so I've got mine marked out. I don't know if you can see that, get an idea of what that looks like. But I'm just going to take the snips and very carefully, I'm going to poke a hole just very, very gently, because I don't want to tear it. I want to cut it. And these are pretty tough. All right, there we go. We've got it started. And now we're just going to work our way all the way around and cut out that hole. I'll do that and get back with you. And you're going to end up with something that looks like this. Now, if you want to make sure that that hole is uniform, you can fold it together, and you can see it's pretty well the same. You can trim that up. You can make this hole bigger or smaller, but it needs to fit pretty tightly around your ankle and have some stretch to it. Next thing you want to do, taking the front of this, we want to put it about right here, just like this. Again, the hole is toward the back. And we need to make a couple of holes in the rubber. 2 here and 2 here. And this is where our punch comes in handy. You do want to punch this. You don't want to just drill through the rubber because you could tear it. So again, punch it through there, wiggle it around a little bit to get a nice hole. And then just come over a little bit from it and make another one exactly like it. Again, in line. And work that around until you get that piece of rubber out. Now, a good way to match this up to make sure this is perfect is go ahead and fold it in half again. So just like this. And then using these as a reference point, you can easily put your punches right through it in the exact same spot so that they're symmetrical and they match well on both sides. Now, that's not super important. That's just a visual thing. Okay, we've got our 2 holes on each side. So we want to go ahead and lay this out about where you want it to be. Again, leaving a little bit of slack here. You don't want to stretch this out really tight. And then after you get this kind of figured out exactly where you want it to sit, you want to go ahead and put a couple of pilot holes. This is really important so you don't split out the wood. Next, we take that little rubber grommet, metal on one side, and then our little wood screw. And make sure that the wood screw will not go all the way through the wood. Okay? That's really important. You don't want it to poke through. You certainly don't want it to hit any of this and cause it to break. So once you get those holes drilled, go ahead and install that little rubber grommet onto the wood screw, and then very carefully get it started and tighten it down. Don't go too hard or you will split the wood out, so just go very gently with it. We're going to do that to this one as well as the ones on this side, and we'll get back with you. When you get done, you'll have something that looks like this. This will move. This is so as you walk, your heel can come up so that your foot can move naturally, and then this will lift along with it. So you're going to do this to both of your tennis rackets, and then I'll show you something else that you can do. Now, if you're like me, I'm a pretty big person, and depending on the depth of the snow and your weight, this might not work so well to hold you up and float you across the snow. How you can improve that is by using some simple duct tape. And what you're going to do is you're just going to go across it like this, all the way around. You can do that a couple times, depending on how much strength you need. So just like that, that's going to help float you a little better. And then you can do the same thing in behind your foot. So when you're done, it will look like this. And you could, of course, put more duct tape on here if you wish, but that should help tremendously with the flotation and not slow you down too much. So how you put this on is you open this up and you slide your boot in underneath here, just like this. Now this is where it's going to test you. I was putting it on and I found out it didn't fit because the boots that I'm wearing right now are a little bigger, so I had to cut out a little bit more of the opening. So we'll see what that looks like. And it's always good to cut it a little more toward the toe than toward the back, because we don't want to lose a lot of this band back here. So let's try this again. That seems a lot better at first. Pick this up so it goes over top of your toe. Try to get that right where it should be, over top of that wood so you can step on it. Stretch and pull this back like that. Now, you are going to have to work on this a little bit. These are not going to be easy on, easy off, like a lot of boots perhaps, like a lot of snowshoes. These are improvised. Alright, pull that up, make sure that's tight. Yes, my foot is rotating. That looks pretty good for walking. Alright, let's put the other one on. Well, they definitely help not to sink in so far. And the rubber straps are holding it just fine. So as you can see, they work pretty good. Of course, not nearly as good as a pair of proper store-bought type snowshoes with a good binding. And the binding's probably the most difficult part to get right. Getting this hole just exactly cut to fit your foot, making sure you don't split out the wood pieces on either side. But as you can see, for an improvised pair of snowshoes, they work pretty good. This is James Bender for Waypoint Survival. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also make sure and check out the links in the description box below, just under the More button. While you're down there, you'll also find our waypointsurvival.com link. And this is where you can sign up to take survival and bushcraft classes at our beautiful training facility in Southern Ohio. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. And when you do subscribe, make sure and press that bell button so that you can stay notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time.